This slideshow is going to give a brief introduction to the 4 different types of color you can use on your hair. Temporary color. Temporary color is a large molecule that just coats the cuticle. This is simply a physical change, no chemical change is happening. You can notice from this slide how all of the molecules of the temporary hair color are just on the outside of the cuticle. They're too large to even penetrate inside. As soon as you wash your hair, these colors are going to wash out with it. Some examples of temporary color would be the colored hairspray, colored gel, or the colored mousse that you can get in the stores, the hair mascara sometimes that you can get to just comb on, or those color enhancing shampoos. Those are all examples of temporary colors that will rinse out as soon as you wash it the next time. Semi-permanent hair color. Semi-permanent colors differ slightly from the temporary colors in that they last about 4 to 6 weeks, so they last longer, and the molecules in them are a little bit smaller so that they're not just coating the cuticle, but they actually penetrate in the cuticle a little bit, and that penetration into the cuticle is what usually the cuticle can hold that color for about 4 to 6 weeks until it washes out. So look in the picture that you'll see the difference in this picture from the temporary one is those molecules are smaller and they're going a little bit deeper into the cuticle. Still, this is a physical change. There's no chemical change happening. The molecules are just a little bit smaller and being deposited further into the cuticle rather than just coating the top of it like the temporary hair color. Semi-permanent hair colors are good for clients who've never colored their hair before and they want to try it. They don't want that regrowth line that's going to happen with permanent color. They're just curious about color and whether it will look good on them. A semi-permanent color is perfect for that because in 4 to 6 weeks, if they didn't like it, it'll be washed out anyway. Someone who wants just a slight change to their hair, they just want to add a little bit of a red tone to it. This would be great for that. Somebody who wants to neutralize unwanted tones on the hair too. Often you'll see people with blonde hair and it's kind of going a bit of a yellowish color, or they have that brassy blonde color. A semi-permanent hair color would work very well on that for that type of a client as well. Demi-permanent hair colors. Demi-permanent hair colors differ from the semi-permanent colors in that these ones will deposit color into the cortex. So have a look at this picture and why it differs from the previous 2 temporary and semi-permanent. The molecules, the color molecules, not only are they penetrating into the cuticle, but now they're going into the cortex and they're depositing in that middle layer of hair. That's what's going to make these demi-permanent, is that they are demi-permanent, the D for deposit, they're deposit only, so they're not going to be lifting your natural hair color, they're only going to be depositing molecules, but they will be right into the cortex where they're depositing these. So there is a physical change happening here. It's just that the peroxide, well, often these are used with a low-level peroxide, but it doesn't have to be a peroxide that these are mixed with. It could be a different alkalizing agent that they could use, but these will go in. They will not lighten the color that's already existing in the cortex, but they do get into the cortex and deposit hair color there. So that's the difference. Have a look at these molecules. They're past the cuticle, whereas the temporary color only coated the cuticle. The semi-permanent penetrated in the cuticle a little bit, and now these ones are depositing in the cortex. Demi-permanent hair colors are good for filling over porous hair before you color it. If somebody comes in and their hair is over porous, it's going to soak up that color and you'll get a very uneven color. So then often your stylist, if that's the case, will talk about putting a filler on your hair, and that's what a demi-permanent hair color would do, is it would go on and deposit some color first so that when you put the next color on, it's not going to absorb it too much because there's already a deposit of demi-permanent on there. This would also be good for clients who want to cover their gray, remembering that permanent is best for coloring the gray, but the demi-permanent does do a good job of blending it. Also, you would use a demi-permanent when you're refreshing old color. So if the client comes in and they have a regrowth, you need to put the permanent color on the regrowth of the hair, but you don't need to put that permanent color on the ends of the hair. You just want to refresh what's there. So you'll just put your demi-permanent hair color, the exact same formula that you use for the permanent at the roots, but now you're going to put just the demi-permanent, so it's just going to deposit color and freshen up what's already there, and that's going to cause the least amount of damage to your hair when you go in to get a retouch, is to use the permanent on the roots and the demi-permanent on the ends of your hair that have been pre-colored. Permanent hair color. Permanent hair color has a two-step process action that's going on. It's going to lift the color of hair that you already have, so it will lift your existing pigment, plus it will deposit pigment. So that's what's different about a temporary versus a permanent hair color versus a demi-permanent, is that the permanent has the ability to lift your own natural hair color and deposit as well. So it does those two steps. It's mixed with a peroxide, usually at a 10 to a 40 volume level. And in this picture here, you're seeing how the molecules are small, so they're penetrating past the cuticle into the cortex where there's a chemical action going on. Then you can see from this picture, the molecules become larger once they're in the cortex. So you've got the smaller molecules that penetrate into the cortex where this color will lift the natural color and deposit, but then those smaller molecules are going to combine with the hydrogen peroxide that you mixed in with your color to form larger dye molecules within that cortex. And now that those are larger molecules, they're going to be trapped in the cortex and they're going to be locked in there. That's making it the permanent hair color. So permanent hair colors are used for covering gray and permanently changing the natural color of the hair. They will have a regrowth line. Your client is going to have to come in every 4 to 6 weeks to upkeep this color. Otherwise, they're going to have their roots showing through. So they will have some upkeep involved with the permanent color. And a few words of caution with permanent color for those of you who do this, who tend to color your hair at home with permanent colors. They will not lift more than 3 levels of natural color effectively. So if somebody has black hair and they want it, that level 1 black, and they want it down to a level 10 blonde, this natural color, this permanent color is not going to take them all of those levels. They're going to have to do corrective coloring, either with a color stripper or with a bleach, and then go into the permanent color. So be very cautious that if you are trying to change your hair color more than 3 different levels lighter, like you're lifting it more than 3 levels, you're going to have to go into a corrective color. Permanent color won't do that on its own. And the other thing you need to be cautious of with permanent colors is they will not lift previously colored hair. So for example, if you colored your hair brown, you now want it blonde, it's not more than 3 levels lighter, but it's a colored hair that you already have done. It will not lift previously colored hair. It will only lift natural colored hair, not colored hair that you've had in the salon or that you may have done on your own with a box. Okay, so those are just some words of caution with permanent color.